Here's your news for May 6, 2020. And here are some headlines for today. WWE may have spoiled the women's Money in the Bank match. Charlotte Flair reacts to Ronda Rousey. Nikki Bella says she was abused twice prior to WWE. Vince McMahon wants to give a monster push to a new WWE Raw star, and more. We are starting off today with news from WWE. As though fans will have to wait until this Sunday for Money in the Bank, the company may have already given away one result. On this week's Raw, it was announced that Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch will confront the women's ladder match winner. So unless WWE plans on moving a blue brand superstar to Raw, it looks like the women's ladder match winner will be coming from the red brand. On Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer noticed that WWE may have tipped their hand and said, "They were pushing that Becky Lynch will confront the winner of the Money in the Bank match, which will lead you to believe that it will be a Raw person because if it was a SmackDown person, Becky Lynch shouldn't be confronting her." Based on WWE's announcement, it looks like Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, or Asuka will be leaving WWE headquarters with the coveted briefcase, though WWE could swerve us all by having one of the SmackDown participants, either Carmella, Dana Brooke, or Lacey Evans, capture the briefcase. With that said, Sasha Banks, who is rumored to feud with the SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley, is not in the ladder match. And with rumors that the Boss and her best friend will feud over the summer, it certainly seems more likely that a Raw superstar will win. We've got news from Ronda Rousey next as the Hot Rod's recent controversial comments continue to make headlines. After referring to WWE as fake fighting while on Steve-O's podcast, Rousey also called out ungrateful fans, which received a lot of criticism from fans and superstars, with Booker T saying that she should apologize to the locker room. Now, Charlotte Flair, who feuded with Rousey in WWE, has commented on the situation, as when she was asked about Ronda's comments during an exclusive Q&A with Pro Wrestling Sheet, she said, "Does anyone remember that famous knee in the police car going into WrestleMania?" When the interviewer chimed in that nobody will forget that knee, Flair responded by saying, "Okay, I'll just leave that there." The knee she's referring to is the very painful-looking knee that the Queen gave Rousey when the pair, as well as Becky Lynch, were arrested on the April 1st, 2019 edition of Raw. As if the baddest woman on the planet does return to WWE, you can bet the reigning NXT Women's Champion will be first in line to give Rousey a very painful welcome-back present. More news regarding the Hot Rod now, as the Bella Twins' new book, Incomparable, has gone into detail of the night of Rousey's surprise debut. After Asuka last eliminated Nikki to win the inaugural Women's Royal Rumble match, Rousey made her WWE debut, which the former Divas champion wasn't a fan of. She writes, "It was an incredible night with a not incredible finish. Asuka beat me and retained her winning streak, and then they made the decision to close it out by debuting Ronda Rousey. This was a little triggering for me in the moment." Nikki goes on to say that the tweet storm she gave afterwards was probably an overreaction, but said that the debut upstaged all the women who had come out for the historic match. She said, "It just didn't need to happen like that. It dominated the post-show news cycle and became the only thing everyone wanted to talk about, not the historic Royal Rumble and Asuka's performance in the league. And by the way, it sucked for Ronda too, because that's no way to join a team. They threw her right into the lion's den." The book is full of stories from both twins who aren't hiding anything, as Nikki also revealed that she went through an incredible painful experience during her youth. In the book, Nikki revealed that she has twice been the victim of rape, the first time aged 15 by someone she thought was a friend, and later in college when she was drugged. She writes, "There is the horrible offense in the moment, and then the shame and blame that follow and feel almost worse than the original pain. When something like this happens to you, you understand the blame the victim mentality, how easy it is to feel shame rather than anger, how easy it is to feel like you could have stopped it yourself." This is a very sad part of her history for Nikki to share, and hopefully her strength to carry on despite this will provide inspiration for others. Back in the ring now, and one new star fans can expect to see a lot more of is Brendan Vink. On this week's Raw, Vink and Shane Thorne defeated Ricochet and Cedric Alexander, and it certainly came across that Vink was the biggest star. On PW Insider Elite Audio, Mike Johnson noted that WWE had their eye on the Australian for a while, saying, "Brendan Vink has been a project in the developmental territory for some time. Evolve had him when they were using him to build him up. He would have been given an even bigger push in Evolve if they hadn't been shut down." He went on to say that Vink's call-up to Raw is the beginning of them trying to make him a big star, and said that there are plans for a long-term push. Johnson also compared the new Raw superstar to when Braun Strowman was part of the Wyatts, and given that Braun is the Universal Champion, and Vink's impressive physique has caught the eye of Vince McMahon, the future certainly looks bright for the 6'5" Aussie, who is already doing big things after signing a deal last year. Vink and Thorne weren't the only victorious tag team on Raw this week, as the Viking Raiders defeated the Street Profits in a match many fans incorrectly believed were for the latter's Raw tag team titles. On Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer noted that the company is clearly working towards a title match, but using a banned term would have made things much clearer. He said, "There's a word that you're not supposed to use, the word non-title, right? Because that's one of the forbidden words." Meltzer added that they don't have a term, they just have to wait until it's over, and non-title is just one of many banned terms that aren't allowed on WWE TV, which includes referring to a championship as a belt or a strap. If the Raw commentators were allowed to tell fans it was a non-title match, then things would have been much less confusing, and fans were left feeling pretty confused when Michael Cole screamed, "They just beat the Raw Tag Team Champions," and the titles didn't change hands. We're looking ahead to Money in the Bank now, and while fans are interested in what kind of title match Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins will have, some are already looking at the Scottish World Champion's next challenger. One person who knows all about being WWE Champion is Jinder Mahal, who responded to a tweet from WWE India about a match between himself and Drew as a dream match for many, but a nightmare for McIntyre. Fans will remember the pair being part of 3MB alongside the recently released Heath Slater, and while nobody could have predicted back then that 2/3 of the band would one day be world champions, it certainly feels like a match for the richest prize in sports entertainment could be the next logical step if Drew is able to topple the Monday Night Messiah at Money in the Bank. From two world champions to another now, as there's been an update in the frosty relationship between the WWE and the big dog Roman Reigns. Though Reigns was supposed to face, and presumably beat, Goldberg for the Universal title, the big dog opted to withdraw from the show after The Miz appeared to be ill at the Performance Center and Reigns didn't want to risk his health. After Vince McMahon ordered that Reigns' name not be used on WWE TV anymore, the company went one step further during this week's Raw and have removed him from footage. On the 3-hour show, WWE replayed Seth Rollins' historic Money in the Bank cash-in from WrestleMania 31, but deliberately edited Reigns out of the footage, making it appear that Rollins pinned then WWE Champion Brock Lesnar after a curb stomp. This is a very interesting editing choice, as Roman hasn't been referenced since he pulled out of WrestleMania 36. And while fans can't blame the former Universal Champion for putting his health, as well as the health of his family, first, it seems WWE aren't too keen on the big dog right now. We're looking at WWE's recent releases next, as one woman who survived the cut was Lacey Evans. Speaking to the Walkaway Fight Club podcast, the sassy Southern Belle said she related to the feeling of not knowing what to do next, as she said, "It's terrible. I take it hard because I know what it's like to come from no money and come from a rough childhood upbringing," Evans said. "I know what rock bottom feels like. I know what that sick feeling in your stomach feels like when you don't know what you're going to do. That's all I could think about is, man, what are they going to do?" Evans went on to say that WWE did what they had to do, but is making sure that everybody has what they need and is being taken care of. These are some interesting claims by the SmackDown superstar, as many have claimed that these cost-cutting measures weren't necessary, and hopefully nobody else will be released at this unprecedented time. Speaking of releases, The Ascension was cut from the company last year, but for many backstage, this was a long time coming. Despite being the longest-reigning NXT Tag Champions in history, the pair struggled on the main roster, reportedly due to Vince McMahon. Speaking recently on his own show, Arn Anderson claimed that Vince McMahon told the commentary team to bury The Ascension shortly after debuting on Raw, which AA was confused at. He said, "Why would you take any character that is on our show that the company professes to being the #1 wrestling company or the #1 sports entertainment company in the entire world and put them on our TV show with valuable TV time and bury them, have the announcers bury them?" When asked if somebody else could have made the call to have The Ascension buried, Arn said that everything in WWE, whether it be characters or angles, goes through Vince. If Vince McMahon did want to bury the duo, it clearly worked, as they were completely underused prior to the release last December, And odds are that the duo are looking to prove that they are capable of way more than WWE gave them to do. Now, we all know that the world is in a strange place at the moment, and in an effort to fight the ongoing situation, WWE has released a new range of themed masks. Each mask, which retails at $12.99, are compliant with the guidelines put by medical experts, and WWE will be donating all net proceeds to AmeriCares, a global nonprofit relief and health organization. In addition to the masks being compliant with all CDC guidelines, there are plenty of masks to choose from, including some based on current stars like The Fiend and Becky Lynch. Fans can also represent their favorite legends while keeping safe, including Ric Flair and Macho Man Randy Savage, and there are also masks featuring the WWE and Raw Women's Championships. In these unprecedented times, it's obvious that everyone needs to do their part to help get the world back to normal. And it's certainly cool that WWE are helping fans represent their favorite stars and raise money for AmeriCares along the way. And we're ending with news from AEW today, as Cody Rhodes has promised some surprises for tonight's episode of Dynamite. With this week's show being AEW's return to live TV at Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida, Cody took to Twitter to hype fans by teasing surprises, which will be part of a stacked show. In addition to the unknown surprises, tonight's show will also feature AEW World Champion Jon Moxley versus Frankie Kazarian in non-title action, Cody will face Joey Janela, Matt Hardy and Kenny Omega face Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara in a street fight, while Lance Archer will face QT Marshall. It'll be interesting to see what surprises Cody has in store for the 2-hour live show, as the company continues to host shows despite the global situation that has shut down many sports events.